Good morning, peace. We made it through a whole nother week. It is Friday, so you already know. Thank you, and I appreciate you for just being here. You could have been anywhere. There's someone who did not make it to see Friday. There's someone the last day that they spent on this side of the dirt was yesterday. I pray for those families who did lose someone this past day. I pray their strength and I pray that they will heal in due time and in their own process. But for those that are on this side of the dirt, hey, good morning to you, and you've made it through another week. And today is your day, and today is another day for you to be successful. Um, what was your week like? You know, either put an emoji about how your week was, or you can just put it out there like that. What was your week like? Did you have a successful week? Did you have a productive week? Did you have a trying week? Was your week just blah? Whatever it was, I want to know how your week was, and we can talk about that, and we can take those thoughts and take those things and move forward from what you identified in how your week was. All right, so everybody that's in the podcast world, thank you for listening. Whether where you are, whether you're into the international waters or you're in the domestic waters, whether you're listening to it on Facebook, whether you're listening to it on YouTube, listening to it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening to it from, how has your week been? Again, I pray it's been successful. All right, everybody that's watching, let me look at this. Let me look at the Facebook chat. All right, Miss Salinas, good morning. Pretty much how it went this week. Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk about the fight. I know some of y'all probably have seen the book, Failing Forward and things of that nature. Uh it's cool. I mean, Failing Forward was an okay book. For me, reading the book was all right, but I had to change. I had to mix it up because reading the book Failing Forward. I'm not talking about it, but I'm just telling you my experience. Failing Forward, it had me always talking about failing. I don't want to talk about failing because I'm very particular about what I put inside, what I put in front of my eyes, and what I allow myself to consume, or where my attention is at, or where my attention is being drawn to. I'm very particular about that. But reading Failing Forward, for me, my mind was always talking and communicating with myself about failing, and that's not where I want to be. I want to be in the space to where I'm talking about fighting. Peace, good morning, Ms. Nisi. Where we're talking about fighting, and I know that when we're talking about fighting, we're not talking about fighting people. We're talking about fighting against, principalities. We're talking about fighting in situations and fighting against circumstances, fighting against, spirituality, those spiritual battles and things of that nature. That's the type of fighting that we're talking about. Like when we came up, there were fighting words that when you hear it automatically clicked and you really was ready to rumble, with someone. So that's the stuff we're talking about. We're giving you new fighting words today. So we ain't cracking no mama jokes or nothing like that. It's breaking up a lot. All right. I was trying to do it without the top, but how about that? That worked? Probably did. Because I was trying to try. I probably just, I want to buy a new mic. So I was trying to say, okay, let me figure this out. But I will buy a new mic. It's time for an upgrade. It's time for an upgrade. All right. How was that? It's better. I'm sure it is. I don't know. Somebody will say something, but I'll get on with it. All right. Today we're talking about fighting forward. Fighting forward. We're not talking about your failures, but we're talking about your fight. Do you have a dog in the fight? Do you have the energy to fight? Or do you have the energy to continue to fight? Because as you continue to fight, there's always going to be something that is going to happen. There's always going to be something that's going on. There's going to be a child that's acting up. There's going to be a spouse that's acting up. There's going to be turmoil that's going to be surrounding you. But do you have the ability to fight and continue to fight? And do you have it in you to have that outward fight, because your inner struggle should not reflect in your outward approach. So let's go ahead and jump into it today. Let's jump into it. I'll fix that. I'll fix that. All right. So we're talking about that fight. Where is that fight? What type of fight do you have in you? And again, we always go into the definition and we bring it forward. So the definition of fight, it is what is being said is an endeavor rigorously to win. Endeavor vigorously to win. And the second definition is move forward with difficulties, especially by pushing through. Move forward with difficulties, especially by pushing through. And there's a third definition that I found. It says command. Now, this is when you're battling, in wartime and stuff like that with this one. Uh, Command, manage, or maneuver in battle. So command, manage, to command, to manage, or maneuver in battle. So I'm going to go back before I bring you forward to the R2 definition, where I merge those things and give it a 2022 definition. All right, going back is move forward with difficulties, especially by pushing through, and endeavor vigorously to win. So the R2 definition of fighting, where we are, is to vigorously move forward and command your push through. To vigorously move forward and command your push through. Vigorously move forward and command your push through. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's supposed to have been fight. All right. To vigorously move forward and command your push through. That is you fighting forward. To vigorously move forward and fight forward. To vigorously command yourself to fight forward, because your command is that inner voice that you're telling yourself to have that outward energy, that inner voice that you're commanding yourself to push through the situation and circumstances that you may find yourself in. So the first fighting word is your why. What is your why? Being dedicated and unbreakable, fighting and pushing through the situation and circumstances that you may find yourself in. Your why is going to keep your head either on a swivel, or your why is going to allow you to keep your head in the game. Your dedication is going to allow you to keep your fight current and consistent, because I am fighting for my why. I'm fighting for my kids. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting because I have fight in me, and I'm going to continue to do those things, and I will remain unbreakable because I am ready to fight. I am not here to be failing, but I'm ready to fight and to fight forward. And the second fighting word is your legacy. What legacy will you live? What legacy will you leave? And what legacy will you lead at the same time? Because when the tough moments come, you're going to have to fight, and you're going to have to stand in that gap, because your legacy depends on it. What are you teaching your kids about the fight, the inner fight, the spiritual fight, the situational fight, the fighting of circumstances? How are you teaching them how to fight those battles? What are you teaching them to do in those tough moments? Those that are in leadership roles, what are you teaching your subordinates how to do things when those moments arise? What type of legacy will you leave? Fight for your legacy. And I guarantee you, your legacy will begin to duplicate itself, because they're going to learn how to do it when those moments get tough, and they will always continue and be continuously fighting back. And you got to fight for your commitment. What are you committed at doing? Are you committed to the process? Because when you really put yourself in a position to be committed to the process, you're going to have to stand up for yourself and stand in the gap. You're not always going to have someone there to support you physically or spiritually. You're not always going to have somebody there. But what you need to do is you need to be there. That's the main person that really needs to be there. That's the main person that needs to be in the fight. That's the main person that has to be committed to the struggle, and the main person that and who should be committed to the process. Sometimes you're going to have to pick those gloves up and lace those gloves up and fight back and be committed while you're in that process of fighting and not be afraid at the same time. And you're going to have to be encouraged because it's going to take courage for you to face those fears. It's going to take courage for you to fight back. It's going to take courage for you to stand in the ring within those situations and circumstances. It's going to take courage for you to keep running, even when you feel like, oh, I want to quit. But you got to have the courage to continue to do it, because if your week was not a week that you feel like it went your way, it's going to take courage for you to look at those things that really beat you down all week and continue to put yourself in the continue to fight through those fears that you faced, or fight through those situations and circumstances that you were dealing with this week, and to tell yourself, next week will not be like this, today will not be like yesterday, this weekend I will regroup. I will write down the things that I've learned, and I will come back next week and I will come in it to win it, because I have the courage to continue, and I have the courage to fight, and I have the courage to stand and withstand and have the endurance to continue on in this race. And the last thing I want you to do is you're going to have to be very consistent. Why? Because your results depend on it. The results of your children, the results of your wealth building, the results of just your commitment and candor to excellence, you're going to have to be consistent with it. And as you begin to form your level of consistency, you're going to have to just keep that going, because as you become consistent, it's like practice. As you become consistent, as you practice with it, as you practice your breathing, as you practice your reading, as you practice what drives you, as you practice listening to certain things, that feed you, that practice will create a different type of result or a newness. But when you become consistent with it, then it becomes a routine or regimen. It becomes that routine or that regimen. And when you do it, it will always be there. It becomes that muscle memory. And that's where your consistency will create currency. And the last thing that I want you to remember is failure is not an option. But when faced with failure, I want you to say, I will fight forward. That's like your new battle cry. I will fight forward. When you're in that situation, you tell yourself, I will fight forward. Failure is not an option, but my fight will be forward. My fight will have courage. In my fight, I will have commitment. In my fight, I will vigorously command my forward to be I will vigorously command my forward push to be productive, my push forward to be progressive. And I will stare those things in the face, and I will command my excellence. Hey, you guys be blessed, because right now, if you felt that you was in a fight this week, you don't have to stay that way, because you do have the ability to succeed. Success will not come without situation and circumstances, but success can happen as long as you fight for it, as long as you're ready to be committed to the process. And without commitment, there will be more struggles. But when you're committed to it, you will continue to fight. Hey, y'all be blessed. For those that had a week that could have been better, you got another week coming. You have another day coming, and you have another fight coming, because I believe you got that fight in you. Put those gloves on, lace those boots up, roll those sleeves up, because you got it in you, and just keep fighting. Fight forward. Peace.